I mean, there are several challenges because one of the issues I think we will have to get a serious form of legal migration. We have to take this serious. We have also then take into account migration and development. And what was the topic of today, this evening, we have to take a serious form of border control with a human face, because at the moment we are creating more and more fences, border walls, and we're losing our feeling for human rights and also responsibility for the other parts of the world.
And what is until now the most striking development in the European migration policy?
I mean, what I find shocking is that we have combined migration more and more as a security issue. I mean, prior to 2001, especially in Tampere in 1999, we have agreed that migrants, especially long-term residents in Europe, should have a position as equal as possible to EU citizens. After the attacks in New York, we have totally changed our attitude and created a very scary atmosphere concerning migration, combining always the issue of irregularity with security, using the word illegal migrants in the same sentence as terrorists, which actually never was true, because also the attackers on the World Trade Towers were legal migrants. So they were not irregulars, they were not coming by a boat or whatsoever, they were regular migrants. So we have created a very scary situation now, and the shocking thing is, as we discussed tonight, also is the issue of biometrics. We are losing totally the control of, yes, we are losing our liberties with the idea that we get more control on security. And I think that's a very scary situation, and I don't think the European citizen is aware that they lose their own freedom and liberties just with a sort of imagined security issue.
What should be done for the future?
Well, I mean, personally, I think we should liberalize migration to legal migration, because I would imagine that if we liberalize migration, this would lead to less irregular migrants, and it would also help that the position of migrants could be much less exploited. Because if you are in an irregular situation or even in an illegal situation criminalized, you have to take a job to all conditions. So what we are creating is very unsecure situation, exploitation situations, while if you would open the market, perhaps with quotas or whatsoever first, to legal migration, skilled, high-skilled, low-skilled, of course we all need them, yes? Then I hope that at least a certain form of exploitation could be avoided.
And migration is often seen as something that causes troubles, problems, all kinds sort of negative things. But could we see migration as well as a positive thing?
I mean, we should not forget that somebody like Einstein was a migrant. He was an economic migrant when he moved from Germany to Switzerland as a professor. He was to some extent also a high-skilled migrant moving from Germany to the United States, but he was also an asylum seeker, a refugee, because otherwise he had been killed. So we always see, let's say, the bad migrants, but we forget that some of the most important, the United States had never their economic position without the refugees. So Europe lost an enormous capital and intelligence because of the political climate and the killing of Jews and the refugees to the United States. I mean, what we could have as capital in Europe when we have a much open climate to migrants, I think we just don't realize. We only see the bad situations, but we don't. And I think there are very good and very successful stories, but successful stories don't sell in the media. So the media also is to some extent to be blamed, because a bad migrant situation will be first covered in the media. The success of a Iranian refugee doctor is just an ordinary migrant. Huh? So we do not see the success stories, or we will not publish the success stories. More?
What was the most striking thing you heard tonight?
I mean, I heard most of it before, but I mean, the shocking situation of what happens at the borders is each time when you hear it again and you feel responsible. I mean, we are now at the moment very happy that Guantanamo Bay is closed. We blamed the Americans for human rights violations, serious human rights violation in Guantanamo Bay, and correctly we did. But we should not be so proud what happens in the name of the European Union at our borders. So perhaps we should first look on ourselves before we blame the others.
One final question. What should the audience take home from tonight's debate?
I mean, I think they should get the awareness of what happens in the name of the European Union and the member states, I must say, mainly also at our borders, what happens with Frontex, etc. But they should also see that this situation also creates problems for themselves, because they will be faced with a new passport with biometrics. They will be faced with all these databases where their movements will be controlled. So the big brother is watching you is a very scary situation, and it's not only the others which will be faced with it, but we ourselves. And I think they should be aware of that.